Hey everyone, it is Friday, February 11th. The time is just after 12 p.m. and the temperature right now is around 4 degrees Celsius. And I'm here on the Queen Street Viaduct, and there's a look east along Queen Street East. And that's a look down at the Don River. And a look west into downtown. And for this one, I'll be going for a walk through the studio district. So to get there, I'll head east over to Broadview Avenue, and then I'll head south down to Eastern Avenue, and I'll walk east from there. And that would be the Don Valley Parkway just below. So this is an area known as Riverside, and it's located in South Riverdale. And it is just raining quite lightly right now. I am getting hit by the odd raindrop. And this development on the right is known as Baseball Place. And these are the grounds of the first ever professional baseball team in the city. And I think these lines here are to signify an infield, although obviously this is much too small. It's not exactly 90 feet between the bases. I think home plate is somewhere under the snow here. And the stadium here used to be called Sunlight Park, and it opened back in 1886. And I know some people that have lived in those condos. And apparently they're plagued by all sorts of problems. So coming up is Broadview Avenue, and that's where I'll be turning right. I'll head down to the studio district. And there's a number of small studios located there and one major film studio. There's Prohibition. They opened a location up in Midtown near where I live at Yonge and Eglinton. And unfortunately, it didn't survive the pandemic. And there's a look up at the Broadview Hotel. So this is Broadview Avenue here. And there's the Brickworks Cider House across the street. And just on the right here are the Broadview Lofts. That's the former home of a Rexall pharmacy warehouse. And it was converted into a loft space about 15 years ago. And I think this is the actual building here. That's a newer condo they built after the fact, just beside it. United Drug Company. The 5-story building was constructed back in 1914. And there's some boarded up properties across the street. Guess they're waiting for their turn to be redeveloped. This whole area has kind of a gritty post-industrial feel to it. And this is Eastern Avenue. And it terminates just to the west here. It crosses over the Don River, and then it splits into Richmond and Adelaide, which are two one-way streets that head east-west across downtown. Well, I didn't press the button, but I'm gonna go anyways. And the area directly to the south of here is known as the Portlands. And that's where you'll find Pinewood, which is actually the largest film studio in Canada. Although I don't think that area is classified as the studio district. That would be where I am now, and that I think starts at Broadview Avenue. And it heads east here, at least until we get past Revival Studios. The Roadway Truck Center. I was looking for ideas as to where I could record today. And I turned back the clock a year, and it was just about a year that I last passed through the studio district. I think I might have been through here since on one live stream. It's mostly residential streets that connect Eastern Avenue to Queen Street East. There's a lot of older homes on those. And this is a Canadian National Railway rail line we'll be heading under. And this rail line marks the border between Riverdale and Leslieville. So I'm in Riverdale now, but I'll be popping out in... How am I forgetting the name? I just said it. Leslieville when I get to the other side. Looks like there's a lot of old bread baskets there. I wonder if they'll ever see the light of day again in terms of being used. So Leslieville was primarily a blue-collar kind of place, at least until it started gentrifying heavily in the early 2000s. Although that stretches more along Queen. It's kind of maintained its original feel a bit more along Eastern Avenue here. Well, it's probably just a matter of time before we start to see this area transform quite significantly. There's a beer store. And a bus that's not in service. And there's a number of really nice old Consumers gas buildings coming up. And I think this one here is part of it. Last I read, this was a rug company located in here. I'm not sure if that's changed. USM Modular Furniture. Oh, there we go, the rug company. I knew I wasn't crazy. But it looks like this building dates back to 1907. And there's a pair of really old, somewhat identical buildings right here that belong to Consumers Gas. And these are used by the City of Toronto. And that's just one of a few facilities in the city where they house street cleaners and that sort of thing. I think that's also where they produce the city street and road signs. Let's look up one of the residential streets. And one thing you don't see a whole lot of on this stretch of Eastern Avenue are pedestrians. And this is Booth Avenue. And while the Tasty restaurant has long since passed, I have no idea when that actually closed. That sign has been there forever. I think it would be neat if the building owner kind of refurbished it. It's hard to imagine walking along here without seeing it. And those are the old Wonder Bread, or rather, are the new Wonder Lofts in the old Wonder Bread factory. is also owned by the Weston Bread Factory. That's the same company behind Loblaws. So legend has it that prior to the factory shuttering in 2014, this area smelled quite good. You got that fresh aroma of baked bread in the air. That is here at Logan Avenue and Eastern. There's a sign for Reed's Distillery on the right. That's a gin bottling shop. And just to the south of here is Lakeshore Boulevard. I think somewhat soon we'll start to see some small studios pop up. Like I mentioned, the largest film studio in Canada is just to the south of here. I think it's on Commissioner Street, and that would be Pinewood. There's also a few more studios down that way, including a big new one that's under construction. And I tried to determine if Toronto or Vancouver was the bigger spot for the film industry in Canada, and they seem to be comparable in size. Although it's worth noting that Movie Maker listed Toronto as the 4th best destination in North America for those looking to work in the film industry. LA and New York City are of course 1 and 2. Somewhat surprisingly at 3 they had Albuquerque, New Mexico. I think Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul have a lot to do with that, shifting a lot of production that way. But Toronto was clearly ahead of Montreal, Vancouver, and Calgary on that list as far as Canadian cities go. And there is Gale's Snack Bar. Well, maybe I'm going to cross the street just for a block or so here. I'm going to look at things from the other side. That and the light is changing. So this is Carlaw Avenue. And there's a lot of history just north on Carlaw. So Gale's has apparently been there for about 80 years. I think it's known for sandwiches and milkshakes and that sort of thing. Downtown Gas and Auto Center. It looks like they originally spelled center ER. They tried to change it on the sign to RE. They should also probably cross downtown off that name. This is not downtown. And I mentioned there's a lot of artists and smaller studios in this area. I've probably walked by a number of places without even noticing so far. probably not in the best side of the street anymore for that. There's a neat view towards the financial district. So this is the Directors Guild of Canada, DGC, are located there. I think a lot of these smaller industrial buildings here have a lot of small studio spaces in them. Silverline Studios is just up here on the left. I think they advertise themselves as a daylight studio space. And they also specialize in equipment rental and that sort of thing. But the big one in this area is Revival, and that is here on the right. I think there's 10 full-size stages there, and a number of other spaces that can be used for filming. There's also a Penguin pickup in there. And Studio Center Developments has applied to redevelop the site and build 6 new buildings here. On the Revival website, they list having a hand in over 200 major film productions and over 60 TV shows and countless commercials. And some of those productions include Shazam, which was quite obviously filmed in Toronto, if you've seen it, along with Schitt's Creek, Orphan Black, and Suicide Squad off the top of my head. And I'm guessing if it weren't for this studio, this area wouldn't have its name, the Studio District. And I think I read they're building a massive new studio up at Downsview Park. And there's a big one in Hamilton, and there's one in Mississauga. So really the GTA has become quite a hotbed for this kind of development. Let's just take a quick peek in here. There's the CN Tower off in the distance. There would be stage 2 and stage 3. Ednow, TGX Canada, Pixomondo. I think they did the movie Pixels here, actually. That horrible Adam Sandler movie. Astrolab Studios, and an Enterprise Rent-A-Car. And I think that's about it for this area. Maybe I'll head up on this residential street here, Caroline Avenue. I'll head north back up to Queen. As soon as there's a break in traffic here. There's a house for sale. Looks like that is 17 Caroline Avenue. Most of these homes seem to be about 100 years old. So they tore down, that looks like it was 3 homes. And they've replaced the middle one. That must have been a costly project. So this is the Leslieville neighborhood. And it looks like they got some snow removal crews at the north end of the street. I'd imagine prior to the real estate boom, the houses here would have been a fraction of their current value. If you invested in here in the early to mid 2000s, you'd be laughing right now. As Leslieville, along with the junction in particular, are kind of 2 areas that were seen as being sort of run down and not super desirable not too long ago, and that switch has flipped. There's a nice big puddle. And now it's west along the south side of Queen Street East. So I'm heading back towards Riverside. And this is Winifred Avenue. I think this is the street the last time I walked through the studio district that I went down. That looks like the work of Al Rent, or at least in his style. I've been through here at night when this is all lit up. And directly to the south of here is Revival Studios, although can't quite see it, and that's why that streetcar was honking. So I guess you could call this the southeast side of town. It's to the south and it's just east of downtown. There's a Pilot Coffee. And we're back to Carlisle Avenue. Thank you. I've seen more and more crossing guards throughout the city these days. And it looks like Reliable Fish and Chips is closed for good. It was a long-time favorite in this neighborhood. I think the building sold. Just a lot of people that are rather heartbroken over that place closing.
Yeah, we can talk anytime, and I'll introduce you to my son.
We have to, it was like this award thing that we needed to and that's just gonna be your guide hand. And you're gonna like let them reach out to you. You don't want them, you want them to be able to move around.
There goes a 501 Queen Streetcar. And this is Logan Avenue. There's a Craig's Cookies across the street.
what happened. She said like
I'm seriously debating going in there and grabbing some lunch. There's an Osmos. There's Barrio. It's a rather excellent Mexican restaurant. And it's the Jimmy Simpson Park. And we are back to Booth Avenue, so I think it's just to the south of here where you'll find those Wonder Bread lofts under construction, or I guess the Wonder Lofts or condos. There goes a GO train. And I think the next stop for that one will be at Main Street and Danforth Avenue. That's where you'll find Danforth GO. So that is heading northeast. This here is McGee Street. There's the McCleary Playground. And now it's back into South Riverdale and Riverside. There's a look north up Degrassi Street. That's where the Kids of Degrassi Street was based on. And it was even used to film some of the scenes for that TV show. And it looks like there might be a testing clinic maybe there. Actually, I think that might have been a food bank. I wasn't really planning on walking this way on this one. In my mind, I started where I did, and I was going to head through the studio district, and then I was just going to kind of make it up from there. Here's the Opera House coming up.
Here, I'll hold the front cover.
It's a very old but popular concert venue. And I'm not sure if they've resumed shows there. Oh, it says reopening soon. Check the operahouse.com for upcoming events. And I guess I've come full circle. This is back to Broadview and Queen Street East. So I guess on this note, I'll call it a video. Well, I hope you enjoyed this walk, starting from right around the corner from here, heading down through the Studio District and back up to Queen Street East. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. If you wish to support the channel, there are links to Patreon and YouTube channel membership in the description. I also have an Instagram account at Johnny Strides. And there's a link to PayPal. As my camera points almost directly to the ground. Anyway, stay warm, stay safe. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.